there is another question that you, Peter, sent me today. You said something like this, still on the Dharmakaya topic. So Peter said, wrote to me, is our science on the right track when it talks about the quantum field? I am aware that it is not quite appropriate to equate science or the product of unenlightened minds with Buddhism. But I am just wondering if science is on the right track when it describes this unified field as the formless but the source of all forms, nothing but from where everything ensues, the void but from where all phenomena is born, and so on. So I am wondering if science, for all its limitation, is on the right track. But you know, you said yourself that science is the product of unenlightened minds. Okay? So no matter what science says, it will never be on the right track, because ultimate Dharmakaya or Buddha nature cannot be understood by unenlightened minds. So as long as you are not enlightened, you can't understand enlightenment, and you can't speak about it, you know. Dharmakaya cannot be discovered in the lab. You cannot discover Dharmakaya by scientific research in a lab, and then wow, you discovered, you know everything about Dharmakaya through experiments, but you still remain unenlightened. It's impossible. You will know Dharmakaya when you become enlightened, because Dharmakaya means not to know enlightenment like an object of study. So enlightenment is not an object of study that you study. No, enlightenment is something in which you dwell. You are enlightened, and so you know enlightenment. You understand? This is why a scientist cannot understand enlightenment. Yes. And when you become a Buddha, you instantaneously know everything. See? Yeah. And of course, this idea with the science. What is science? This is a false word, the science. There are many, what we now call science. It was very different 200 years ago, and it will be very different in the future.
So I think if you take a look at science, this is more or less the same as if you look to other religious teachings and start to compare, because they also think it's this and that way, or this and that way, and science also thinks it's this and that way. But as you said, they are all based on samsara world. I had a discussion with a friend a long time ago, and I said he was a real believer of scientific efforts and everything. And of course, science is good. Yeah, it made progress, it brought progress to the world in many, many cases. But at least science for me is like, imagine a sandbox where children are playing in. And scientific approach is now to start to count the little pieces in the sandbox and to bring everything in order. And then they can say, okay, so many particles of sand are in this sandbox. But the Buddhistic approach is to say, hey, but you are still in that sandbox. You will never leave it. You can do everything what you want. You can invent rules, and you can count all the little particles, and you can make a castle out of sand and everything. Yes, if this is science, but it will not bring you to the truth. The truth is outside of the sandbox. This is the way you have to go. Yeah, and you can spend your completely life living in the sandbox and inventing every day any new rule, or to find out something which is interesting for you, but in the end it brings you nowhere. So science has some good, yeah, it's good for us, of course, to live in modern times, yeah, with antibiotics and and everything, all that things like this. But of course, it's like playing in a sandbox. You will not leave the sandbox if you trust in the science. You have to go one step further. And this is what the Buddha did. One step further, and then you can see the sandbox from outside. And then you understand, then truth really starts. Then you can understand everything. But as long as you're a child playing in this box, you will remain to be a child playing in this box without any progress at all.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And I would like to add a quote, a passage from a Tibetan teacher on science. So Chamtrul Rinpoche, he said, quote, if you look, if you took all of the knowledge that this world has ever produced and compare it to the knowledge of an omniscient mind of a Buddha, it would be like comparing a single drop of water to the entire ocean. End of quote. I like it very much, you know. Yes. Joshin, what do you think?
I think that's right. That's correct. You talk about science. It wasn't that long ago when science was about taking arsenic, lead, and leeches as a healing tool. And that was modern science at one time. And we in our own lifetime have, certainly in my lifetime, I've seen something that was seen as absolute scientific fact during one era is now totally debunked in this era. So it's impermanent, just like everything else. It's a philosophy, and a lot of it, most of it, is theory, unproven theory.
So, also, so Peter, you are satisfied with the answers? With
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.